And we're live.
Yeah, I just got back from Japan this weekend. I was there for 2 days, and that was a trip and a half. So
enough time to really take in the culture. Yeah.
I mean, it was my favorite trip I've ever done, even though it was a short one. I was there for the Tokyo Game Show Expo, which was worthless, but an excuse. And yeah, I had a lot of fun there. I mean, I was only in Tokyo, so we did shopping and we did the eat as much food as possible, but it's cool. It's a cool place for sure, and I'm definitely going back.
If I ever go, who sent you there? Is like Tokyo Game Show like gaming in Tokyo, or is it like those Japanese game shows where it's like you have to smell 6 people's assholes and guess which one is actually the guy?
No, have you seen the pornos where the game show is like there's just women's asses and pussies sticking through a cardboard box?
That's exactly what I'm referencing.
That's what I wanted. No, it was actual video games. Although I will say that I only knew 5 or 6 games there, and they were like the Call of Duty, the Monster Hunter. The rest were like very Japanese, dating sim-esque, like Gundam. It was weird. It was awesome, but it was definitely a cultural shift. It was interesting.
Who sent you there? Did someone send you there?
I went with Razer. So They had a booth over there, and yeah, just use it as an excuse.
So were you like famous in Japan at a game expo?
No, so we go to PAXs and I go to PAXs, and people will recognize you a couple times a day. I got recognized twice, and it was in like 5 minutes, and it wasn't anywhere near the game show. It was like we were at a Sega arcade, and these like younger, really good English speaking kids came up and were like, "Hey, how are you guys? Like, good to actually run into you. We knew you were here." And I was like, "Okay, like cool," but. Other than that, no, flying under the radar. It was really nice.
Yeah, at a shopping mall or something, I am not famous. Once in a blue moon, some guy will tap on my shoulder at AutoZone and say he used to watch me.
I love AutoZone.
but yeah, that happened. Chiz was there. And but like at a game show, at least back in the day, like there'd be a crowd. It'd take a while to get through the autographs, and people would bring cool stuff like Xbox faceplates, and there's I was known, but only in a specific show.
I want to go to Japan and go to like Hiroshima or Nagasaki and really rub it in a little bit. I want to go to that arc, that like the archway or whatever that's like survived the bombing, and like pose in front of it flexing with like a USA shirt or something, like go to some of their like more respected like temples and shit, and like give them the bird or something, like with a shirt that says "Never Forget." I
still harboring a grudge, huh?
Oh,
let this be a reminder. Yeah.
How could we look? First of all, I don't know how you just let that shit go. All right, and second of all, like they killed like 180 whales last week. The Japanese are not our friends. They're just sneakier than most.
I don't care about the whales much at all, because it just doesn't enter my line of thinking. Like I'd prefer the whales not be killed, but if they continue killing whales, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
I care more about the whales.
Like with the World War II, I'm watching World War II in color on Netflix right now, and I'm learning way more about like the Northern Africa part of it, because that's kind of glossed over so much with what Italy did in Northern Africa and Egypt. Yeah. But like when you hear about what the Japanese did, like live vivisection, where you cut people open as they're still alive, just and not even a lot of it was like Dr. Mengele shit, not even like real science. Like, hey, I wonder what's gonna happen if we inject him with antifreeze. He died. Yeah. He definitely died. It's like, oh, did you think you were gonna cure something? No, you're just fucking around.
Yeah, like, you want to see if his blood's red?
That's a true level of evil.
Well,
to be like a scientist injecting prisoner children with antifreeze.
You're only saying that because nothing actually benefited. But I mean, what happens? Like, what if something good happened? What if antifreeze like made you breathe underwater or something? You wouldn't have known if not for the Japanese.
That is fair, and that was the thing. That is very fair. Fair point.
Very slim chance.
That was the thing post World War II with Dr. Mengele. I think it was Mengele with the Germans, the Nazis, where people were like, should we even use this guy's twin studies, where he would do stuff like inject one twin with something and see how it impacted things? Yep. And I think eventually people were like, well, all of this did happen, and none of us are going to do research like this, so we may as well turn it to good if we can.
Yeah, some of the things that, like, it was Unit 731, that was the Japanese group that was doing that horrible shit, and they would do stuff like, freeze people. They freeze you for like an hour and bring you back, and all right, let's see if we can repair him. We can. Now we know how to repair someone who's been like frozen for an hour.
Perfect.
Well, let's freeze him for 2 hours. Let's get him in here. He says, all right, let's see if we can patch him up. And they would just repeat that process on different prisoners, learning different techniques to help people who had been frozen for different varying amounts of time, exposing them to yellow fever and malaria, and just doing horrible, horrible things to them, and then trying to repair it on, human subjects that were prisoners of war and should have been protected. I don't think we were doing that to their guys, right? Like not that they surrendered that that we know of, but it comes out, right? Like it came out the other day that we killed a lot of the Americans killed a lot of the guards at one of the concentration camps, like machine gun, like 100 guards down. We do bad shit, right? Right.
Oh, the guards in the concentration camp, they were just heartlessly mowed down. Oh my God, that imperialist American. Like, no, good. If there's a group that deserves, like, you know how they'll say, like they have interviews with German soldiers, Nazis, who were just kind of in the regular group, not the SS or anything, who, I honestly do believe they didn't know about any of that shit going on. Like they were never in those positions. They were out invading, they weren't fighting a defensive war. But like the SS and guards in a tower, fuck them. Like,
I
that's
agree.
Ridiculous.
The excuse was really transparent too. The guard was like, they tried to run, and it's like, wait, 131, and you got all 131 of them or whatever it was.
Really good marksmanship.
Wow, you're amazing, man. What are you, Rambo? Like, no, they put them up against a wall. And also what they would do with the free Jews, they would arm them. They'd like give their sidearms, their pistols over to these free Jews and be like, maybe a few Nazis die tonight. Maybe not.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah, it's just kind of like tearing the tables a little bit. What? Water under the bridge,
right? But those whales, on the other hand, I feel deeply for those whales. All right, like I have this. The more intelligent an animal is, the more I care about it. That's why I don't. So those whales and the dolphins and stuff like that, those marine mammals that have brains bigger than us, and the elephants and stuff like that. I really don't like it when they're just, killed like that under the guise of scientific research. It's like, what are they finding inside of a whale that needs to be researched at this point, right?
I thought
like,
they did it for food.
I
they?
thought
they can't do it for food. They lie, and they're allotted a certain number per year for scientific research. So they're just out there, scientific research, pow, and like, all right, this will feed many people. Research done. They're just selling.
I don't like the killing of the whales, but I don't think about it too much because it makes you sad when smart animals get killed. Because I do discriminate against animals. Like if a squirrel dies, I can't even be bothered to care. That thing didn't even know it was alive, more than likely. Like it didn't have self-awareness. Like if you put a mirror in front of that thing, it's like, what?
That's another thing I don't like about the Japanese. Like they haven't figured out the knife and fork and spoon yet. They're still over there with those two goddamn sticks.
Let me. So I could not use chopsticks for the life of me. And I was like, eating rice with chopsticks is so stupid. Until I realized that like everything that they make is centered around using two sticks, like chopsticks. So like the rice is super easy to eat with chopsticks because it's sticky as fuck. But everything else, like why not use a spoon for this soup? It seems a lot easier. It's like no, we're just gonna drink it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the way I feel with like the Japanese and the Chinese with their chopstick nonsense is that they were right on the cusp of being like, all right, clearly forks have won this battle, this duel, that's better. And then we made fun of them so much that they're like, no, it is not because yours are better. We don't want it. It is culture, or like that kind of thing. And so they've doubled down on chopstick usage almost out of not wanting to admit that our solution's clearly better. Why would you not want a shovel-like implement to shovel food into your fat Western mouth?
And they have shovels. They have shovels. If they were out in the field with two pool cues digging around, you'd be like, I guess they haven't figured it out yet. That's not the fucking case. They got shovels and pitchforks.
Hideki, help me get to this rock with a stick.
Like most of those millions of people that they massacred when they went across China, they did with shovels and bayonets because they didn't want to waste bullets. They're no stranger to the shovel. or the knife. I don't know what their problem is.
They killed people with a shovel. Like, what weapon did the Chinese people have? Like,
none.
trowels?
They were a step behind on the civilization tree at that point. So like, and they were just going through cities, and China had the big military, and they needed the rubber and the oil and everything, and they came in there with machine guns and stuff, and just raped and pillaged and murdered and killed millions and millions of Chinese.
Now because it's called the Rape of Nanking, it's hard to underscore how horrible it was. But I had been underestimating how bad the Rape of Nanking was when I watched this thing, and they're like, the Japanese indiscriminately slaughtered the Chinese of Nanking for the next 7 weeks. I'm like, 7 weeks? They just hung out and murdered people, and just hundreds of thousands, just
bayoneted babies,
just ruthless shit that didn't happen anywhere else in the war.
It's like that scene in the new Rambo movie, which if the latest Rambo movie from like 2009, 2010, it's just called Rambo, I think, or maybe John Rambo, I don't know. But it's like old John Rambo, and he has to go into Cambodia and get Dexter's girlfriend, the blonde chick. He's got to get her out of harm's way. And there's a scene where the military forces there come in and just destroy a village, and they're bayoneting babies and then flicking them into the burning huts and flame throwing people alive and stuff. It's like that kind of shit was going on. It's really disgusting. Like World War II is one where you can be like, yeah, there was a good side and a bad side there. Clearly, like this is not ambiguous at all. And the Japanese were on the bad side. So yeah, I want to go over there and rub their face in a little bit.
And like learning how Mussolini, like, I guess, motivated Hitler and like how he got power. It was so not like what I thought. Like, I thought it was much more calculated, but it was really like Mussolini led a big revolt and a bunch of violent threats. And then the head of the Italian government at the time was like, all right, we don't want a war going out. I'm going to appoint you chancellor just so everybody's happy. Your party's represented, no war. And as soon as he becomes chancellor, the first thing he does is outlaw all other political parties and fire everyone else in the government who doesn't want to die. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like that was a quick transition.
Taylor, you got a thing auto playing over there on your website.
Oh my God, the Hill is a joke. Yeah. That's the third time I've paused an autoplay on that website.
Welcome to CNBC. That thing will fire up an hour and a half later. If you leave that page, you're like, what?
I've had this tab open for like an hour and a half because I open up all the topic potential tabs, and that's right before the show. Kyle said to turn that off with your retard news.
Dude, have you guys paid attention to Myanmar? Is that how you pronounce it?
Myanmar. That's actually the new name for Cambodia, I believe. That's where that Rambo movie happened.
I didn't know any of that. Right? Is that true?
Myanmar? Formerly Burma. Yeah, Burma.
Okay.
Burma. It's right north of Thailand.
Yeah, apparently it's terrible. And it's shocking to me, like Hindus and Buddhists are doing all the killing, which is typically not a violent group, and Muslims are the big victims, which is who's pushing Muslims around?
Wow, the tables have turned. And let America sweep in and save them. No. Why doesn't Saudi Arabia go in there and save those poor Muslim people who are being massacred? Why? Why not?
What's going on in Myanmar? I don't even know.
I about laid it out there. I guess it's been going on for at least a year now. The majority of the population, if I have this right, is Buddhist or Hindu or something, and they're trying to drive the Muslims out. It's like a genocide, It's a legit genocide. Tons and tons of people are dying, and their political leaders just kind of deny. You ask them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I guess there is something going on in that part." Yeah.
That's an issue for another day,
Yeah, they just like you can't get them to really discuss it or anything. I've seen a couple interviews and they just kind of like brush it aside and change the topic to be like highway tolls or something stupid. And meanwhile, they're like legit massacring like 15% of their population. So I don't know.
You can't?
No, speaking of Tinder, and nice segue, Japanese Tinder is amazing and an easy mode. I just turned it on for a day just to see what it was up to, and got 7 matches. None of them spoke English, so I'm not really sure why.
That's even better. That's even better.
I don't want to know your names. Yeah.
I have no idea how to talk to you. Like I'll just send you an address and you show up. Like how's the
You need one of those translators. Like I've been watching Preacher, and the guy's got he's got a French. The vampire guy has a French son who's an old guy, and neither one of them speak the other's language. So he just wears this pendant, and he'll just press the button on it, and he'll say something in English, and it auto translate to French on the other guys. It's pretty cool. Need one of those for.
Did you could always like call them the name of like large Japanese companies, like suck my dick, Suzuki. Yeah, you take it, Mitsubishi. Like that's things like so that.
Fucked. I mean, I wish I could even read these names, but I can't. That's not even
Mitsubishi Gallant.
Yeah, I'm gonna
she's a lot hotter. She's a lot hotter than Kawasaki Ninja.
Yeah. Kawasaki. Yeah,
I don't think. See, that's the thing. You can make fun of the Japanese all you want. They don't mind. They don't mind. I've found, and nobody else minds either. Like, there's no like group that's gonna jump to the defense of the Japanese if you start talking about fucking Japanese girls' ass and call them.
There is somebody out there that will jump to
the anti-Japanese defamation league.
Well, do you know how much like China, Thailand, I guess Myanmar, all these areas, like they really resent the Japanese a lot. Still in a lot of these areas from stuff like World War II, you know, because the Japanese have tried so many times to conquer mainland. So yeah, I've watched YouTube videos about that stuff of like Asian people talking about it. And like the most common thing I saw was like non-Japanese people saying like, oh yeah, there's definitely some Japanese racism wherever you go. And it's like, I guess that kind of, you know, makes a little bit of sense given the history.
Yeah, definitely so. I really want to go though, but you know, there's thumb.
I'd love to go. It was everybody was so polite. I felt I got so mad when I got into my car on my way home and immediately somebody honked at me. And I was like, I didn't hear a single horn once that whole trip. I didn't see a single homeless person at all in the entire city the whole time I was there.
They kill them.
Yeah, they probably feed them to like, what do you think ramen broth's made out of?
Homeless Japanese men. Like, what a disgrace if you because they're so like that culture has so much honor. You know, you always hear about the I don't remember what the word for it, but there's a Japanese word for those men who overwork themselves to death. And you hear the wife's story because the husband's worked himself literally to death. She's like, yeah, he was in the office for 8 days straight. He would just sleep at the office. He came home to take a shower and he had a heart attack in the shower and died. He literally worked for like 100 hours straight, like sleeping a few minutes at a time, like Leonardo da Vinci or some shit, and then just died.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Leonardo da Vinci. Right?
I wonder what the other Japanese people think about it, though. Like, are they really like, oh my God, that guy's such a superstar? Or are they like, he was just showing off, right? This is a kind of suicide. Everyone knows that after 12 hours of working, he was kind of shitty anyway. And the next 88 were just showing off.
I don't know, man. It's a problem that it's widespread. Like, it's enough that they have a word for it. I think they're legit like working hard because I mean they did
have a series of word for it. We could describe it.
Yeah, but I mean they have like it's like a thing. Like when you pass out at your desk, like it's not a bad thing. They're like, look at him, like worked so hard, he's literally dying right now. Like good employee. Like, ugh.
That's such a weird cultural thing because I've heard that too. That if you fall asleep at your desk, it's like, oh, Hideki working very hard today. Like instead of what would happen here, where it's like, hey, you're supposed to do your sleeping at home, champ.
I got a George Costanza thing going on here, you know, like, oh, I just get all my sleep done at work. They think I'm a hero.
I it's under my desk to take naps in, and they using it as a new model for the rest of the firm. Yeah. That's very interesting. I'd like to go to Japan too, just because it's another modern nation that seems totally antithetical to us. Like so not antithetical, wrong word, but totally different. Like everything would be.
And they love us. Like we're an ideal to them. Like a 6 foot tall white man. Oh, especially if you're blonde. Oh, you'd slay so much Japanese pussy. So much Japanese pussy. If you're 6 foot tall, I'd dye my hair blonde if I was going.
Also,
I'd look into like I was going Super Saiyan, but that might turn him on.
The worst thing is that you know, to put it bluntly, I just look at, you know, you'll look at some like real authentic Japanese porn, and you're like, this looks like the worst lay of my life. Like my first time having sex was way more like put together. Like I went in with an idea of what I'm doing, and this is like both parties are just flailing, and it looks ugly. Like nobody should record this, and this is like the professionals doing it. But it's like, It's just
all Japanese porn is rape porn. All of it is like that's the overriding category. There is no like rape category. It's like, oh, the Japanese porn is a non-consensual. Why would a woman want to be a folk? Men should be at the working. All of it seems non-consensual. The woman never seems happy with what's going on. She always seems like it's always and in their like hyper fantasy world, which is the animated porn, it's always like a little schoolgirl face, like an underage chick with cartoonish beach ball titties and a blurred out vagina for some reason.
I was going to say Japanese women have weird vaginas. They're blurred out. They're pixelated. Yeah.
No, all right. So one of my things was a friend of mine was like, I need you to bring back like actual hentai. Like I need you to bring me back a comic of porn. And I was like, I can do that. So I went to multiple shops. Two things that I noticed. One, porn is stupid expensive. Like for an average booklet, it was like $60 for like for like very obviously porn. It has like 18 plus on it. You can look through on the cover. Two, like it is a little alarming when you walk in and they obviously like no photos, but you walk in and there's just drapes of like what seems to be a 9-year-old. And you're like, can't even suspend disbelief here. Like that is a child. And she is naked.
Oh no! Actually, she is a ancient vampire. She is 4,000-year-old, so it's not creepy at all.
Did you struggle with the exchange rate?
No, the exchange rate was really all right. It was a really cheap trip. It was I know. I was shocked.
Not for me.
All right, so it's about $9 for 1,000 yen. So that's like 1,000 yen is like $10, right? Water, like at the airport, 2 bottles of water cost me $2. Like every meal was under $10. Our Airbnb that slept 10 people was $750 a night. So like that's under $100 per person. And it was a mansion.
Was so much different. It was a hotel. It was insanely expensive, but I didn't have to pay for it. But like
I forgot. I remember you going. Yeah, I forgot.
The breakfast was like $42 for like eggs in a buffet or something. It was outrageous. And the exchange rate at the time, like it sounded so simple when you laid it out there, but I was like, I'm not even sure. Like, would I have to divide this by 330? I don't know. I guess big numbers just aren't that much, but I get lost in the big numbers, so all of a sudden like, hair gel, 1.8 million yen. Well, I'm sure it'll be reasonable. And then you're like, damn, I just paid like $32 for hair gel. It is neat that it has Japanese words, but I
was really surprised because I was the same way. I was like ready to just pay out at the ass for everything. But I mean, I live in LA, so everything's a budget to me, no matter where I go. But that,